Great to be here, James. My name is Robert Xiao. I'm the CEO of a Chinese company, Perfect World.
And what is it that you guys do?
We do games, actually. We do development of games, we do publishing of games, and we partner with other people in the world to do games. And we do games on the console platform, we do games on the PC platform, we also do games on mobile platform.
Which is our particular sector. Is there anything that you were publishing last year or developing last year that our viewers might have heard of?
Oh yeah, well basically from China. So we did 3 top 10 mobile games in China, published last year. We plan to do more this year.
Is it a free-to-play spin that your company has? Is that what you focus on?
That's exactly the true statement. Basically, we are started as a free-to-play model type of company on games, and now we're doing all our games free-to-play on all 3 platforms.
So the most successful ones that you saw in 2014, were they of the free-to-play variety, and is that something that you see kind of continuing into 2015?
It will, especially from Asia. You know, in China, in Korea, in Southeast Asia, free-to-play is the core model for gaming society. But we do see the trend in the US as well, not only on free-to-play mobile, but also on the free-to-play PC. We published, not last year, but the year before last year, in 2013, a free-to-play model of the PC game called Neverwinter. It is available here in UK as well.
Yeah.
It was a very successful game, not only in the US, but also in Europe.
Okay, and is that the kind of thing that you're going to be making in the future? Are you sticking with that particular sort of genre, the Neverwinter genre, for example, or are you expanding?
We are definitely want to expand, and but we're not only doing the hardcore free-to-play kind of a fighting game. We are having more of a strategic game or a mobile game or even some casual type of game down the road, especially on the mobile, because we understand that mobile growths are fueled by a lot of new players, non-traditional game players we call it. So eventually we need to lighten up our games a little bit to satisfy this part of the new gamers.
And being as you span all different platforms, you say consoles and PC and mobile, we have a mobile focus. What do you have to do differently to make a successful game on mobile versus maybe a browser-based free-to-play game? Or what are the differences?
I think the core of the gameplay would be different, because mobile players are definitely using their time differently as on the PC or console. You have more scattered time during the day, so that the design has to cope with your behavior on the mobile. And you're on the move, so the design of the game has to be cope with the way you move. And then the control has to be simpler, because you don't have a controller, you don't have a keyboard, you don't have a mouse. So, but then during the interface, the simplified control, you have to have certain kind of fun. So that design challenge is always there. So design a mobile game is not that simple, because you have all the elements of the gameplay, but eventually how do you design it into a simple touch, but then still have that kind of fun of controlling? That is a tricky thing,
Tricky thing to get right.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
And is there anything that you're working on currently that you're particularly excited about or can talk about? Or?
We are having about 20 different games in the pipeline on the mobile platform.
Okay.
A vast amount of cross different genres. We're hoping that half of them, well, I wouldn't say half, maybe 3/4 of them are basically Eastern kind of style, and then of course still that 1/3 of the games are developed outside of China in our studios around the world. We hope that we can bring them together to have a complete portfolio for all the gamers around the world, that everybody can have a selection that to say, I want to play this particular style and particular genre of game, so that as a game company we provide a portfolio of different games for gamers around the world, so that that will be our success.
So what are the challenges that you find bringing a game perhaps that was intended initially for the Eastern market to the West? What are the differences between those markets? And
gamers say behavior are completely different. Gamers' understanding of the culture will define that how they've been attracted initially into the game, right? But eventually, if you have a very beautiful graphics, everybody loves that. But when you design the gameplay, Western gamers and Eastern gamers are very different. They show totally different perspective. Free to play. A lot of US gamers are, when they hear free to play, they hate to play because they think you are paying for the ability you can kill more people.
Sure.
That is not fair. But eventually there's a design tricks that we design free to play for US market not to pay for any of the capability you can enhance, but rather to pay something to satisfy you in different ways.
Do you find that the Chinese market is something they're prepared to pay for those kind of things?
True.
That's not a problem?
In the China and Korean market, people are more willing to pay to advance themselves. Right. Because one of the things to show off in the game, especially big will kind of gamers, they want to show off, and then naturally it becomes a community on particular game that different people are playing different roles in the game. In the eastern part of the market, it is normal, but in the US it's not. So even though it's the same game, when we localize to different languages for different regions, we have to tweak the design to make sure that it fit into gamers' perspective, to make sure they're comfortable and they like the game itself.
Okay.